Hello there, all you wonderful, beautiful ladies and gentlemen of the internet. It's me, your host here, Daniel Andres, bringing you another video. I really need to get a haircut, and I won't get one hopefully after this recording. And I'm doing another episode of Where to Start. I haven't made one of these in like 4 years or something, a very long time. And I know a lot of you out there watching this are probably new to my channel or newer ever since like the past year or so. Yes, this is a long-running franchise I've been doing. This is episode 6, I think. And this is a gaming series that I wanted to touch on way later on, but I've been really getting into it in my personal life recently. I'm now on the 5th entry. No, the 5th game, I should say. Not the 5th entry. Chronologically. And I fucking love these games. I think a lot of people who play them have. And I would go as far as saying it is probably the only gaming franchise that I would consider to be somewhat perfect in terms of like a relatability sense. And we're gonna get to that maybe later on this video. And that of course is none other than I'm gonna hold up like the most iconic games here that I can just grab at the moment. The Yakuza franchise, or Like a Dragon, yes, these games right here, this series. I mean, you've read the title, you know what this video is going to be about. But yeah, I did an episode already on Halo, Metal Gear Solid, I think Mario was one of them. I think I did Zelda, and then I did one more, but I forgot what it was. But yeah, I already did like 5 of these already. So, yeah, I want to talk about the Like a Dragon franchise, because I love these games, and I can't believe that this franchise is still considered to be underrated at the moment. It is and it isn't. I know it is definitely steadily growing here in the USA. I am born and raised in Michigan, so I've been here my whole life. Yes, I am an NTSC scrub, you know, when it comes to gaming. But yeah, no, I mean, I know it's huge in Japan. It's gotta be, especially since one of the games has a very big star from Japan as one of the lead protagonists. And we're gonna get to that game in a moment. And I love Japanese culture, you know. I'm a huge weeaboo, otaku nerd guy. I think a lot of you may already know that, and why not, or some of you may already know that, but a lot of us are. And this series, I feel like, if you aren't really big into Japanese culture, and if you have like little to no interest, that's a real shame for one. For two, my dogs will not stop barking because they're maniacs. And I'm trying to talk about something important here, so. And for 3, you know, I was kind of the same way before I got into anime and stuff. These games really help Japan shine in like a real world sense. Okay, this isn't really a fictional franchise. Well, it is, but it's kind of grounded. But sometimes it really isn't. It is over the top. But like when I say over the top, I'm not talking about like in like a fantastical, like fictional, like, you know, imaginary sense. I'm not talking in a way that like stuff that doesn't happen in like real life would happen in these games. So I mean like in like an over the top goofy sense. Like yes, these games are silly as hell, and that's not a bad thing. If you want something to play that'll make you cry or make you feel like, oh damn, or like this shit's serious, but also make you laugh and like, oh my god, this shit is wacky and fun at the same time, you gotta play these games. That's a part of what makes them so great. I mean, obviously, it's the gift that keeps on giving. You know, Yakuza, it is debatably a perfect franchise, and that's saying a lot, because not every game is perfect. In fact, this game right here, I made a whole video about this game already. I would debatably say this is the worst game in the series that I have played personally. I still really like this game. I love this game. I do. I would say the good still outweighs the bad. The high still outweigh the low for this game, the lows. But the lows are very noticeable. They are, and they're very much in your face kind of at the beginning, but also not. When you play this game, you still have that inkling that you want to give it a chance. I highly recommend playing this one easy though, because of the combat, but we'll get into that later on. So yeah, this series is called Where to Start, but I'm kind of explaining a lot already getting into it, in case if you're familiar with the franchise, or the chance you're not, these videos are designed to be made for people who aren't really familiar. But I remember in my Metal Gear Solid video, I was talking about how the timeline works, and this one guy was kind of sounding like a bit of a smart ass or jackass or something. I'm just like, you have the internet. I don't want to be a butthole about this, but like I will try to explain things as best as I can. But if you're genuinely confused about what I'm talking about, first of all, not to sound like a jerk, but most people on the internet have made videos similar to this one, or anyone else who have made a video. People who talk about what I'm talking about have already covered what I'm talking about. Let's just say that, okay? They have. I'm talking about knowledge that I feel like people should know because it's easily accessible to learn it. If that makes sense. You have YouTube. I'm not the first guy to make a video about Yakuza or whatever I'm talking about. I hope that's very clear. So if you're generally confused about something, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have other videos to check out. You have other articles to read. You have other places to go. That's what I'm saying. But don't leave the video, please, entirely. But like, just like, you know, try to be mindful here. I'm only human, and so are you. So if something is confusing or something doesn't make sense, I apologize in advance. At the same time, though, just remember there are ways for you to understand it in other formats if you need to, or other places. So from other people, it's like a no-brainer. I don't need to explain that. Okay, so starting off, we gotta talk about the most iconic, popular game in the franchise that a lot of people will tell you to start off with. This is my first exposure to the franchise, and I'm so happy that it is, and I don't regret it for a second. But there are things we need to talk about, and that game, of course, has got to be this one, Yakuza 0. This game is both a wonderfully perfect starting point and a horrible, terrible one. That might be really confusing, but we're going to get into that in just a moment. So, I love this game to death. It is definitely probably still the best one in the franchise, besides this masterpiece right here. But we're going to get into that game later on. Yakuza 0. Now, I wasn't going to really touch on this, but, you know, SEGA, you know, they're the ones that made this franchise, right? They're known for, obviously, the blue rat people love. That has been blowing up recently in the cinemas. Sonic the Hedgehog, right? I mean, who doesn't love Sonic? Well, for a time, a lot of people didn't, but fuck those people, because, you know, they're kind of assholes. But Sonic is a wonderful character, right? It's a wonderful franchise, at least story-wise, for the most part it is. I love Sonic. I've grown up on the games. And this is kind of like the adult equivalent to, like, growing from that to, like, this now. And we'll get into that later on, but I didn't want to even talk about Sonic. I wanted to talk about another franchise that I have mentioned a few times on this channel, my favorite gaming series of all time still, and that would be, of course, the Shenmue games. There's only 3 games accessible to us NTSC scrubs, I know, technically speaking-ish. There's only 3 Shenmue games that got released here in the States, right? Well, officially. And I love those games, I do, but, you know, it's not a finished story. It's not a finished story, no. And Shenmue 3 is definitely the weakest one in the link. And that's not... I know more about that story. At face value, you could, like, poke at that game and be like, oh, fuck Shenmue 3. But no, that's wrong, because you need to know why Shenmue 3 is in that state. And I might make a video about that one day, but it wasn't entirely Yu Suzuki or Usenet's fault, the people who made the game. It was the people who they're assigned to, Deep Silver. Deep Silver just screwed over Shenmue 3. They absolutely did. But that's besides the point. Thankfully, Yakuza is not in that state, because they're designed by RGG, or... oh god, let's see if I can pronounce it. If I can find one of the games with the stickers in it. The creators of Yakuza is Ryuga Gotoku Studio. Right there. Those are that's the people who made these games. And that translates to Like a Dragon, which if you've read the subtitle, I've put that in like parentheses. Like a Dragon franchise or series. That's technically its true name. That was his name from Japan, the country that this franchise originated from, and that's the name of the studio. Ryuga Gotoku, I believe, translates to Like a Dragon. I think it's the same name. I think so. But yes, it's Yakuza Like a Dragon. It says it right there in that game, the 7th entry. Yep, so that's that. But, so yeah, so back in it was 2017. For me, this game came out, I think, in 2016. And I watched into a used game store. I think it was April. I'm pretty sure it was April 2017. And my fiance or wife and I we're just starting to date. And I came off from the Shenmue game. Wow, what the hell did I just say? I came off from the Shenmue games. I meant to say it's Shenmue franchise, the Shenmue series games. And so I played Shenmue 1 in 2013. I beat 2, I think, in 2015. I haven't beaten 3 yet, so I know I'm slowly playing through Shenmue 3. And so I walked into a store that had this game. And I was like, I looked at the back, and it says right there, the very first thing you see in the back, it says 1988 Japan. And that caught my eye, because Shenmue 1 takes place in 1987, a year before this. Granted, the Shenmue games take place in actual Japan. It's like real world locations. These games do take place in Japan. They're very Japanese games, but it's like a fictional city, but it's modeled off of a real world city. It is. It's Sotenbori and Kamurocho. Kamurocho is the iconic city in Yakuza, but I think the real world city is called Kabuichi. I believe so. The red light district in Tokyo. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Hold on. Kabukicho. So I was kind of close. I apologize. Kabukicho. The city is called Kabukicho. So Kabukicho is the real world. It's an actual real world city that you can go to in Tokyo, Japan, if you ever visit there. That is the fictional version of it is Kamurocho in these games. So anyways, when I picked this game up, I was very skeptical. I was like, am I really gonna like this game? And this game, man, got me not only into Yakuza, but really into PlayStation than I already kind of was. Before this, before I met my wife, I was a very dedicated PS3 only player, and I'm talking about like the original backwards compatible system, because I could play everything, 1, 2, and 3 games, and I had an Xbox One, and I was like, I'm never gonna fucking get a PS4. I just was not interested. I was very against it for some reason. I don't know why it was like that, but I was. I was being a really stupid ass douchey guy about it. I don't remember. This is back in 2015-16. I don't remember why I was wired that way, but I just didn't really care. And then I got a PS4 in January of 2017 after my devastating breakup and after I met my woman-to-be, my wife, my love of my life, actually, I would call her, because we've been together for almost 10 years now, and I love her to death. And I got a PS4, and I only got a few games, and one day when I was shopping with her, I saw this game, and this game got me really into the PlayStation brand. Like, I don't know, like, it just did. And so, this franchise did, because it was the primary reason why I wanted to play the PS2, was to play more of this game, or these games, right here. So it's fine, check them out, and we'll get into that later on in this video. But, Yakuza 0 is close to a perfect fucking game. This is my favorite game on the PS4 still. It is, and I've played all of Spider-Man, which is probably the other best game in that system. I've played, The Last of Us Remastered, Part 1, the Uncharted 4, which is a masterpiece. I love Uncharted 4 is made for the PS4. You play that game, and this is like, every now and then you have that game on that console that you play and experience, and it clicks, and this game was designed to show you what this console is strongly capable of doing. And I feel like Death Stranding 2 on the beach is that game for the PS5, and Uncharted 4 is that game for Thief's End is that game for the PlayStation 4, and that is my other favorite PS4 game besides these games. This is still my favorite one. This is by far the best game experience I have had on the PS4. And this is coming from a guy who's played all of the Metal Gear Solid games, that's played all of the Uncharted's, and that has played a good chunk of Final Fantasy VII, but not the whole game yet. I haven't played all the Final Fantasies yet, but I've played a lot of them. And I know those games have a lot to them too. So I don't know much about Final Fantasy yet, but like, for someone who has a lot of game experience so in general, like on other platforms, this franchise might be my other favorite thing ever besides Shenmue. I don't know yet. I don't know, but these games are so good. So I loved Yakuza 0, and after that, Sega, RGG, they were pumping out Yakuza games left and right from like 2016 to 17, all the way up to 2020 or so, or even, no, I think up to like 2022 or something. I think right before Southern Frontiers came out, they were pumping them out. Now they're kind of coming out a little bit slowly, but they're still pumping out like crazy. Because I know Infinite Wealth and the Pirate Hawaii game with Majima came out around the same time, like roughly with a few months between each other. The most recent game was Yakuza Pirate Majima one, and I'm kind of surprised that like we don't have a new Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is what it's called. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that like no new game's been announced by now. You think now would be the time, because Sega does it like every few months. They announced a new Yakuza game coming out from RGG. I'm hoping we get 9 soon. I thought that was going to be Yakuza 9, or people really want a remake of this game. I do too, but I'm okay without it at the same time. We'll get into that later on, why that's such a big deal. So anyways, I haven't really touched on too much why this is both a good and bad start. So I kind of told you why it was a good start. I just told you why it was. I kind of touched on it. I literally just told you this is the best game experience I had on the PS4. That should tell you everything you need to know, right? So thank you for watching, guys. That was a great episode of Where to Start. You know, this is the best game in the franchise. No, I'm fucking kidding. Of course, no. We gotta get more into it. A lot of people will not tell you why and how this might be a terrible start. I highly recommend maybe not finishing this game first. I highly recommend playing it first, maybe experience this game first. And the story switches between Kiryu and Majima here. These two characters right here, which are, you know, the most favorable characters in the whole franchise besides my loving fucking Ichiban. He's my boy. I love Ichiban. I love Kasuga Ichiban, but we're going to get into him later on. A lot of people love him. He's one of those, like, protagonists that will definitely steal your heart. He is. Like, kind of like Luffy, or kind of like Deku, I guess. I don't know, or kind of like Peter Parker. He's like a protagonist that you really just will do anything for, because he'll do anything for you. I fucking love Ichiban, but we're gonna get into him later on. And Kazuma Kiryu is a good. All the protagonists are good boys, despite it being a series called Yakuza. You know, like the Japanese mafia. The characters who you play as and follow through are good boys. They are good guys. They're good people. They have hearts of gold. They're a man's man. They're good examples to follow by. This game helped me grow the fuck up a little bit too. It really did. So did Dragon Ball Z and One Piece, but this series really helped me grow the fuck up. Especially since you're playing as a father, pretty much, to like the rest of the franchise, which is really relatable to like anybody starting a fatherhood. It's not relatable for every person. That's one of the biggest flaws about Yakuza, but it's relatable, I feel like, to young adult men for sure, or to adult men in general. It's if you're 18 or older, please play these games. You are missing out on a really phenomenal, relatable gaming experience. It's so good. Like, god damn, you know, like it. Fuck, like I feel like you feel like you could share a drink with any of these characters, and it would be worth your while. Like, that's what's so good about these games, you know. It really, like, seriously. But anyways, we're gonna get more to that later on. So, I highly recommend starting off this game. In every chapter or two, you switch between the protagonists. I feel like after you get a taste of both characters, check out the other games. And that might sound crazy to some people, because there's some Yakuza fans, or like a Dragon fans, that are really die hard about you experiencing these games chronologically, and jumping around the timeline is like taboo. And there's some truth to that. There is. It's not Shenmue, okay? This is an episodic, like, page-turner franchise. It's kind of like watching a TV show that you're really into, and maybe skipping a season and starting like another one. It's kind of like that. But you kind of like get a sense like the whole show is kind of like a fun time, and it doesn't really matter if you miss something too major, because they will let you know what happened like later seasons or episodes. I guess a good comparison would be something like Breaking Bad, or Better Call Saul, or The Sopranos, or again I mentioned it earlier, Dragon Ball, right? It'd be like if you skip something major in Dragon Ball Z and you learn about it later on, because I did that when I first watched the show and I kind of regret it, but looking back, it wasn't that huge of a deal. It wasn't. There's only a few games to that exception, I would say, where you absolutely should experience the first game before you dive into the next one. Only a handful, and we're gonna get into that in just a moment. Only like 2 or 3 of them. The rest of them, I feel like you could just, especially these 3 games right here. It doesn't really fucking matter if you skip one or no, you shouldn't skip any of them. But it doesn't really matter if you like finish one before the other for these 3 games. And I'm being serious with you. These 3 games are important to the franchise, but they don't have like a really huge overarching impact or importance to like the overall story, except for maybe the ending of this game does, because this was Kiryu's original happy ending, and we're gonna touch on that later on. But the main protagonist, Kazuma Kiryu, this guy right here, and go to Majima. And I mentioned fatherhood, right? I'm kind of going all over the place with this video, but you know, this game is like, there's none of that. You're playing as 2 young men. They're both like, you know, in the prime of their youth. They're both starting off, well, Kiryu's starting off as a Yakuza member. Majima's kind of into it balls deep. He's a little older than Kiryu, but he's in a really crappy situation in this game. You have to play it to know what I mean. And this game is before pretty much anything that happens in like the overall story. And I was super surprised going from this game story into this game story, because it did not go the direction I thought it would at all. I knew next to nothing when I started with Yakuza 0 about this franchise. Yeah. So everything that happens in the original Yakuza 1 or Kiwami shocked me, and it was, yeah, some really big, fucked up, sad stuff happens in Yakuza 1 compared to this game. But I don't want to spoil much because this is not a very huge franchise. I know I'm one who's like, if it's old, you missed your chance. You should have known what happened. But out of sheer respect for you and this franchise and the value of experiencing it, I'm not going to say anything about it. And I know I can't be the only one that was surprised when I played Yakuza 1 after 0. I was like, oh my god. Like, I couldn't believe what happened. It's so fucking sad. But we're going to get to that later on. So, if you do want to spoil it, I guess we can talk about it in the comments. But be aware of others who might read it. Fair warning. Anyways, so, yeah, Yakuza 0, man, you know, it's a masterpiece and everything. It's a fun game. There's so much you can do. You can witness, explore, and battle, as it says right here in the back of the case. It just got a re-release on the Switch 2. For better or for worse, because it's the Switch 2, and it's one of those digital keycard games. And it has English voice acting, for better or for worse. And you might be thinking, why does that matter? Don't all these games are dubbed in English? No! No, they're not. When I say these are Japanese games, I mean these are Japanese games. And you might be like, okay, that's it. I'm done. Click off the video right now. I'm getting the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to deal with any of that. Be a little mindful, please. You know, yes, for me, that was shocking at first, too. I was kind of like, what? It's only in Japanese, but I still gave it a chance. Because I was like, it's fine. And it helps these games feel more grounded and believable and somewhat realistic and all that jazz, right? It does. Now, the later games are dubbed, but 0 to 6... I believe, you know, for the remakes and everything and the originals, well, not the original first one, but they're exclusively in Japanese, from Yakuza 0 all the way up to Yakuza 6. Those 7 games are Kiwami 1 and 2, which translates to Extreme, the remakes. Those games are exclusively subbed in Japanese, or they're exclusively in, you know, dubbed or whatever in Japanese. They are, and that's totally fine because you will get used to it immediately. You will. It honestly makes you really want to learn the language a bit more, but yeah. Again, if you're somebody who doesn't give a shit about Japanese culture, that's a real shame, for one, and for two, these games will definitely help you, but like in like the right kind of ways. Not like the stuff that you might think is kind of weird and just like, that's not for me, alright? Is everyone in Japan like that? Okay, that's a very narrow-minded way of thinking, but I can't fully blame you. But a lot of that is not really in this game. This game's not really about the weird. It's about, okay, well, it's not fully true. The side content is. It's optional. It's all optional. All the side, but it's also, these games are universally funny. They're goofy. If you have never watched a single Videogamedunkey video before, you're missing out. Videogamedunkey's hilarious, and he has covered these games. Just watch his videos on this franchise. That'll give you a good sense of like what I'm talking about. Like, yes, like, these games are goofy, and they will show you that, and it's, like, embrace it, because it is really, really, really well done, and you will laugh your butt off a few times. You will. Trust me. But the main story will have you bawling, and like, characters that you didn't think will get the axe, and you have got attached to, unfortunately do a few times. So that's depressing. I feel like characters that you really love, that you get attached to, that are awesome and memorable, get killed off from 0 to 3, and then from 4 to 5, it's like whoever dies, it doesn't really fucking matter, but it's still kind of sad. But I feel like characters that are like kind of legacy characters that you think might stick around for a while, but that don't, yikes. After Yakuza 3, it kind of tones down a bit, like characters that you really get attached to stick around, but they kill off a lot of likable fellows, which sucks, because, yeah, they do. But we're going to get into that later on. So, I don't think, okay, so I haven't really talked about it yet, but a part of why it's bad to fully start this game is because your expectations can be like this. Like, this is the highest bar you have. Well, besides, I feel like this game might be debatably better than Yakuza 0. You know what I'm talking about if you played it. This game has, like, the best story in the whole series, too. Like, so far, from my experience, it does. And the most likable protagonists. This is a really good starting point for the franchise, too. It is. It is a soft reboot. So it's a new protagonist, Kasuga Ichiban, or Ichiban Kasuga. And I was going to talk about this later on in the video, but really quickly, I want to talk about Yakuza 7 or Like a Dragon. Now these games take place in like real world years too, like around the time they're developed. This game came out in 2020. I think it takes place in 2019. I think it does. And so it's like set about years after this game does. So, but that's okay. And it's designed, it's also a completely different gameplay style because you're playing as new protagonist. He sees the world very differently. The combat is like turn-based RPG. The combat in this game is beating 'em up battle style. Now, there's some people out there who are very negative minded about this franchise. This video is not for you. I'll say that right now. I know I kept joking about people being like, oh, you know, it's Japanese culture. I don't give a shit. And if anything I'm saying is going to turn you off to this franchise, obviously there's the door you can leave because this video is not for you. And that might be kind of, you know, shitty for me to say, but this franchise deserves every fucking respect it can possibly get because it's made with complete love, charm, dedication, care, all that stuff. You can tell every game is made with all of that in mind. And it blows my mind to know that Kazuma Kiryu, the main protagonist in this franchise, is based off a real-life human being that the director of the game knows. I think his name was Nagoshi, that's his last name, or his like surname. It blows my mind that Kiryu is a real-life human being, and I feel like a lot of characters in this franchise are probably based off real-life people with that in mind because it feels like it when you play it. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was true, especially when you get to like Yakuza 4 later on. Kiryu's like Akiyama. I fucking love Akiyama. I feel like Kasuga definitely might be based off someone real. He just feels like he is. Because he's really relatable and I love him. Especially since he loves Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior. I don't think it's called that in the game, but you can tell it is Dragon Quest. Or maybe it is called Dragon Quest, I'm not sure. But he was in prison for 20 plus years. But Kiryu was also in prison for 10 plus years. So who knows? Maybe I feel like they're both based off real life people. I feel like that they are. So before I keep gushing about my love for this game, I want to talk about the original Yakuza right here. Now, this might be not as easily accessible. I think SEGA should absolutely consider re-releasing these games digitally, at least on modern platforms. But I also see why they won't do it, because these definitely play very differently compared to the later series. So for starters, Yakuza is a beat 'em up franchise. Well, before 7 came out, primarily, you know. But it's not just about the combat. You know, it's about the side stories too, the side content, all the fun mini games you can do. You got mini games, you got side stories, you got the main stuff going on, the main fighting. And yeah, you have like a camera you can like, you know, look around and use, which makes something basic, right? If you ever played Streets of Rage on the Genesis or the original Streets of Rage games, Yakuza is basically the 3D equivalent of Streets of Rage with way more patent on it, which is kind of awesome. Now, these two games are very different from the rest of the franchise, but they're not bad games. Especially this one. I haven't played much of it, but before Yakuza 0 came out, a lot of people said this is the best one in the franchise, which is crazy. But yeah, I played a little bit of it only. I haven't got too balls deep into it. But this game is super controversial, for better or for worse. If you have access to playing PS2 games of any kind of way, check these games out if you can. I highly recommend playing these 3 games first. Not back to back, not to finish to completion or anything like that. Just experience them first, because this right here in my hand might be the worst the franchise has to offer, and these games are still amazing. They're still incredible. They still have a lot of charm. They still have great writing and wit and like just wonderful things in it. This game, no, I don't think it was intentional, but the voice acting, oh my god, it's hilarious. They overly swear and curse in these games, in this one, and I remember I was talking to an old coworker about it, and he's like, well, that's kind of true about the later games too, and he's not wrong, but I don't think he knew what I meant. Like, yes, the characters do curse and swear, yes, and it is kind of, sometimes it might come off as a little overplayed, but in this game, it's like every other freaking sentence. It's like overly edgy, which may sound like cringe or like an eye roller to you. It's like high school, like badassery level, if that makes sense. Like, it's like a high schooler would see this game like, oh, this is the coolest fucking thing ever made. But I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, it comes up as genuinely hilarious. It does. He's seeing Kazuma saying things like the R word and calling people fucker and stuff like that. It's so funny. It's so funny. And it feels a little out of character, but, you know, I'm a big believer of actions speak louder than words. And for the most part, Kazuma's still the same guy in this game. I feel like he is. And I love the English voice actor for him in this game. Daryl something. And they brought him back for this game. And that's beautiful. And his voice is somewhat similar to his Japanese counterpart. The one key thing I would say Kiryu's English voice actor has in common with the Japanese one is that they both have that like sexy cool factor to their voice, that like really soothing cool like beautifulness to their voice. And he can I don't know if he can sing. There's AI videos of Kiryu's English voice actor singing the karaoke songs from the games. Yes, there's karaoke in these games. And I'm like, man, if Daryl, what's his name, got his chance to be Kiryu in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, that would have been awesome. And no hate on the current English voice actor for Kiryu. It's not really fair to like shit on the guy. I just wish Daryl could be. It's just like what happened with like Ryan Drummond and Sonic, right? Or like the Sonic voice actors. Same exact thing happened with Yakuza. They brought back some old voice actors for a game or two, got rid of them, and got new people, which is really shit. That's very common sake of America. I think it's super shitty. I do, because they do it for, you know, financial reasons. Like, oh, this person's too expensive to keep, we gotta get rid of them. That's a part of why they do it. I don't know if Yakuza's situation's the same story. I touched on this in my Ryan Drummond video from a few months back. But yeah, it sucks when SEGA does that. But you know, I know from a long-running Sonic fan, this is nothing new, but it still sucks that it happened. So anyways, so yeah, I kind of would argue with you that these games right here are both a wonderful and terrible place to start with, because your expectations are going to be over the roof for this game. That's a part of why it's bad. And your expectations after these three games will definitely be kind of low. And imagine playing these three games first and then jumping into this one. You'll be like, oh my god! I'm telling you, that's exactly what it's going to feel like. I'm telling you that right now. So, I kind of strongly recommend starting with Yakuza 3, which is crazy to say that. But, kind of. You don't have to listen to me. You know, this is just all recommendation talk. And a part of why it is strictly because of the gameplay. That's why. This is easily the worst game I've played in the series. I like the original one more than this game. That's saying quite a bit. In terms of gameplay, yes, I do. Yeah, you know, this isn't the first PS3 Yakuza game. There was one before, but it's the first PS3 Kazuma Kiryu Like a Dragon Yakuza game. It is the first PS3 Yakuza game. It is, but it's not the first like one RGG made or like PS3 RGG design game. It was one of the samurai ones. I forgot what it was called. But it was Japan release only. I think it's literally just called. Is it called Aishin? Because this is Aishin right here, and I'll talk about this game later on. But no, they were experimenting with a different idea after Yakuza 2. Because I think a part of why RGG did that and didn't just jump into 3 is because I think they wanted to move on from a different protagonist that wasn't Kiryu. And you can tell as you play through 2 and 3, or after you finish 2, you can tell that maybe they did want to be done, because the story arc's kind of over after Yakuza 2. Or after Yakuza 3 even it is. Or even, yeah. He gets a really happy life in this game, and so I think they knew that. I don't know if this game and the other one, the samurai one in ancient Japan, were being designed around the same time, but I think the reason why they took the approach of taking these characters and basically putting them in like a different story setting and making them completely different characters with like the same likes and everything, like basically they use them as like actors, is because I think a part of why this is just speculation, I could be completely fucking wrong about this, and Nagoshi might come to my house personally tell me, no man, that's not at all what we had in mind. But what I think is that maybe they're experimenting with the idea of moving on from Kiryu to a new protagonist, and that's part of why they may have used him as like an actor instead of like just as Kiryu again. I don't know, but maybe that's a part of why they did that. So with that being said in mind, yeah, these games are crazy. But I fucking love them. So play these ones if you can, because they're not terrible at all, but these are definitely the worst in the franchise. But I don't want to talk down them too much or like they're bad games, because they're not. If you never ever played a PS2 game before, there's better than this, but these definitely feel at home with like PS2 gaming. That's definitely one good thing about these games, is that they definitely feel like not necessarily a generic PS2 game. Maybe they do a little bit, but they also feel like, but not in a bad way, in a way that like makes sense. Like playing something like, I don't know, like Grand Theft Auto, I guess. That's a really shitty comparison, because I don't want to get into all that. Jak and Daxter, or Shadow of the Colossus, or Killer 7, you know, just a major shout out to that game. Or something like, I was looking at my shit, Kainomar Damacy, and then you play this. It feels kind of like, alright, like it just feels like another PS2 game, which is totally okay. That's not a bad thing. And if you're a Jet Set Radio fan, or a Super Monkey Ball fan, it's made by the same people. The same people that worked in those games. Especially Super Monkey Ball. Same guy, same exec director, Nagoshi. Yep, he directed both Super Monkey Ball and the Yakuza franchise. He also worked on Shenmue, which is where he got the inspiration for this game. And Sony was the only company that was willing to work with SEGA to make these games. So, this is the only franchise from SEGA for like the longest time was basically a PS2 exclusive that I can think of. Besides maybe Sakura Wars, but that didn't start off on the PS2. This franchise started off on PlayStation. This isn't just a SEGA series. It is, to me, this is a PlayStation legacy franchise. Until some people out there is too, but it's it's like the most underrated one. It's maybe not the most underrated one, literally speaking, but it's one of them for sure. You know, you got things like Ape Escape, Metal Gear Solid, God of War, you know, Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. Yeah, and then Final Fantasy, which started on Nintendo, to be fair, in other places. But then you got this. This truly started on PlayStation 2. It truly did. Truly, right? So that's why I always associated Yakuza with PlayStation. That's why you're seeing all these PlayStation releases. Nothing against it being multiplayer. That's technically a wonderful thing, because more people can play them. It's just that, you know, I will always pick up Yakuza on the latest PlayStation console. Well, I'm not going to get PS6, but that's just me. Because I think RGG is always going to make them for the PS5 or PS4. Because I think every game is still made for the PS4. Even the most latest one. I believe this game has a PS4 release. I'm pretty sure it does. I'm fairly confident it does. So that's pretty awesome of them. But yeah, that's just me though. I will always play these games on PlayStation. Always. So now I kind of want to touch on a little bit of what games you should not start with. What games I consider to be ones to experience later on. This one might be a very strange one to pick up, because it takes place technically in a completely different timeline. It's not even really a Yakuza game, but it is like a Dragon game. This one. Yeah, I know, right? Kind of weird for me to grab this one. Like a Dragon Aishin might not be the first game you should play, because first of all, it's really well designed, which sounds crazy, but it's technically a better designed game than this one in some ways, but also isn't. And no, I remember. This game uses the Fortnite engine. Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird, but it does. And that's a part of why I don't think you should start with it. And another reason why is because it's not even the same characters. I like to headcanon and fictionalize and believe that these are Kiryu, Majima, and whoever's ancestors. And it takes place hundreds of years before Yakuza. I don't know if RGG ever officially said that or not. I don't think that they did, but that's just my opinion. Sure. So you could say, oh, this is technically the very beginning of the timeline of the whole Yakuza series, and you could play this one first. Go right the hell ahead. I have no control of how you think. That's fine. But don't beat this one first. I think it's okay to play these two games debatably first, for timeline reasons, but don't finish them first. Now, one humongous difference between this game and this game right here, besides gameplay, or these games right here, and story, is Haruka. This little girl right here, in the middle of Kiryu and Nishiki there. Now, you might be thinking, who the fuck is Haruka? Why should I care? Well, first of all, she's going to be your daughter, so you better not talk like that about her. And secondly, that's why you should care about her. So, yeah, she's not technically she is Kiryu's daughter, but, like, not by blood. Not by blood, no. Like, surrogate. Like adoptive. Yeah. basically, and she's a major character throughout the rest of the franchise from this game moving forward. Like, the whole fucking series, the whole franchise, the heart of Yakuza from the original first game, this game right here has always been Kazuma Kiryu and Haruka Sawayama, I think her last name is. They've always been the main characters of this franchise. They are technically the main characters, yes. The story may not always be about them, they're not always the focus, but they're there in every single game, and they're apparent and relevant in the heart and the soul of these games. They are. Now, I would debate and argue with you that Yakuza 0, the main character in this game, it's not Majima, it's not Kiryu, the Kiryu's who plays. It's this girl right here at the very top. Her name is Makoto. I forgot her last name, but she is the heart and soul of this game. And if you don't know why that is, play it and you'll find out. The whole game is about her, which I didn't know there's gonna be a parallel to like how like this game is about this girl who like does all this shit riding on her that the Yakuza want. To this game, same exact thing with Haruka. She has something major to her that like all the Yakuza clans want. It's crazy how RGG put that same theme into the blows my mind. Like 10 years later. No, 10 years later. I forgot this is a 10th anniversary game, right? They had 5 games. 5 years or 10 years of games, right? Riding on these 5 fucking games right here to finally play Yakuza 0 and playing Yakuza 0 first and then playing them in like chronological order. It's interesting as hell putting these into perspective. Because usually, you know, sometimes prequel stories don't work, right? Sometimes you might think, what the fuck? And yes, there are some debatable plot holes, maybe, but you have to, like, really be nitpicky about it. But, like, I just think it's so damn cool. So damn cool how this game works the way it does, connected to, like, the rest of the timeline. It's so fucking awesome. My only complaint, especially not being as a hardcore fan as I am now, is that I would have loved to see some... I think Yumi is mentioned in this game. She's basically the love of Kiryu's life, but they have, like, no real chemistry, so it's kind of weird. I would have loved to see Akiyama have a cameo in this game. I think he gets necklace or something, but, like, Akiyama, man, when you get to Yakuza 4, he is such a fucking awesome, badass character. He's a fan favorite for a reason. He's literally the first character you play as in this game. And that's kind of weird, especially after playing through 3 or 4 of these games already. If you played, you know, if you started off the franchise like I have with... Oh, it's over there. Okay. The Yakuza Master Collection. With these games right here. And then you played Yakuza 3 Remastered. And then you jump into this game. Whatever platform. You were like, what the fuck? Like, why am I not playing as Kiryu? And then you're like, okay, I fucking love this guy. He's my new best friend. Akiyama's a badass. He is. He's so damn cool. See, that's the thing. The one thing these games fail to do is make a dislikable protagonist, which is awesome. All the protagonists in these games are beautiful, fantastically well thought out written characters. They are all so endearing and charming and badass and just... They're fucking great. They're fucking great. They're so good. So, anyways, another game that I think is debatably a terrible start is probably Yakuza 4. Because it's called Yakuza 4, for one. And for 2, you don't play as Kiryu in the beginning of it. And for 3, the story is super confusing. I can't even tell what the fuck happens in this game. I love and hate this game. I think I might possibly like Yakuza 3. I don't know. I'm very mixed about these 2 games. I have mixed feelings. It's kind of like how I feel about like which I can't tell which one I like or dislike more or less. Kind of like how do you feel about what's it comparing it to? It's kind of like I guess I feel that way about a lot of things. I'm just trying to think of time in my head. I guess we're gonna say Metal Gear Solid 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Like I love all 4 of them, or even Sonic Frontiers or Generations, like I don't know, or Shadow Generations. I don't know which one I like or like more or less. I might like. I think okay, fine. That's gotta be Shadow Generations. Shadow Generations is perfect, but honestly, you know, yeah, like I like both these games, but damn, this game's story is like, what the fuck happens? And this game's story is totally fine. And the reason why I think it's so important that Kiryu gets a happy ending, or well, I gotta touch on that. Yeah, I didn't yet. He goes through a lot of depressing, sad shit in these 2 games. These 2 games right here. This game's story is fucking fantastic. It is. And it has the most likable antagonist. Because he's not a villain. he's not even a villain. Ryuji Goda, the antagonist, is a great character. And he's a fan favorite, and I fucking love him. And people want him back so badly. They might, I hope they retcon his death. I hope to God they do. They might do that. We'll see. But that would mean that Sayama would have to return too, because she's her sister. And I'm sorry for spoiling some of it, but I know I said not to spoil it. I said not to spoil it, but I just did it. But those are little spoilers that you'll find out later on. But, anyways, Yakuza 3, yeah. Kiryu gets a family in this game. Okay, so again, I said earlier in this video, a lot of sad shit happens in these games. I have to touch on it a little bit for context, and I apologize. So if you want to skip spoilers, if I can remember too, I'll put a time thing in here. So I apologize in advance, but I will give you a fair warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Here we go. So earlier in this video, I did say that that some big extreme sad stuff happens in Yakuza 1 that blew my mind. That I did not expect. Well, one of the biggest sad things that happens in Yakuza 1, or the original Like a Dragon game, or Gotaku, whatever the fuck, I shouldn't not be so arrogant. Damn it. How do you pronounce it again? Well, you know what I mean. Kazuma Kiryu, the main protagonist, loses basically his entire family. He loses his dad, his brother, and his sister. He loses his whole fucking family. And they're all surrogate, they're all related by spirit, not by blood, but still. And his sister is the love of his life, which is, I know, fucked up and weird, but also not really, but it is and it isn't. And it ends off with him having Haruka left, his sister's daughter. Right, Haruka is Yumi's daughter. So he has some family left, which is Haruka. And through Haruka, he basically bursts a new family. And so, in Yakuza 3... he gets his own orphanage. He becomes his own foster father with his own orphanage. All the fuck away from Komarochi, everything else, all the way. And he goes to Okinawa, I think. Is it Okinawa? I'm pretty sure it is. And so he lives in Morning Glory Orphanage, right? I think that's what it's called. And so he has the whole family of kids and everything. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And this game gives you a happy ending of Haruka and Kiryu and their family. And it's like, oh my god, this could be his ending. And then they made his life super depressing in the beginning of this game. But Yakuza 6 also gives him a really fitting ending, which I really love. And then in this game, the poor bastard has cancer. They can't give Kiryu a break. So two other games that I think okay, 3 games right here. Well, debatably, 4 games. These 4 games right here. I would not start with these ones. Maybe play them for a little bit, but don't get balls deep into these games at first. Because these are all designed to be sequel stories. These ones I'm holding, yes. These are designed to be sequel titles. These ones. That doesn't mean they're not worth playing. And you could argue this one, too. But, yeah, maybe this one too, but, like, this one's so much fun. It's like, don't skip this one. Don't skip any of them, obviously. But when I say play them, I mean like just experience them for like at least like the first couple chapters. I think you should definitely try finishing them in order, because I do that with a lot of games. For the longest time, I was like, I'm going to play every gaming franchise in chronological order. Yes and no to that, because like then you deal with shit like different gameplay styles and stuff like that. And Yakuza is not the only one that does that. Metal Gear Solid does it, and Zelda does it. Zelda, Metal Gear Solid, and Yakuza or Like a Dragon are 3 major long-running gaming franchises I can think of that have a messy timeline where things don't always make sense, where the games where the game entries, the franchises, the video games do not get released in chronological order. So you have to go back in time or forward in time sometimes to play these games. And that's why it's messy, and that's why I'm making this video, right, to talk about it. So, again, the top 3 or 4 games I highly recommend you playing first are the ones I'm going to show you right now. No, not that one. These ones right here. Yep, the original Yakuza 3, the original Yakuza 1, Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon, or Yakuza 0. These are the games I highly recommend you play first. Do not beat Yakuza 3 first, though. Or even this one, maybe, Yakuza 7. Because Yakuza 7 has a very badass surprise in it that happens, I think, about 60 to 70% in the game, about the halfway point, past the halfway point. That has a lot to do with our loving boy Kiryu, and I do not want to say more than that. And it's so fucking badass and satisfying. That's a part of why you should not beat this game first. Beat this game and the other, because it won't have the same impact. It just won't. Play it, do the side shit, please. There's a fuck ton of side content in the Yakuza games, which is a huge advantage. So if you want to swap around these games and play this one, the good thing about that is that you will get lost in hours having a blast doing the side content. And that's a humongous, beautiful thing about these games. Oh my god, I forgot about Judgment. Play Judgment. This game is fun as hell. It is a side spin-off series. It has little to no connection to the main franchise, but it does a little bit. You could start with Judgment. You absolutely could. But it's really polished and really refined, and it's super modern. So you may have no interest to even play these games, which is okay. But if you want to know Kiryu's story, because at first I thought I wasn't going to play these. At first I was like, I don't give a fuck about the originals. But after I got really into this franchise, I was like, I want to check them out. And now I own them and I love them. Because I'm just a huge gamer. And I did say this game's got me into PlayStation because they're the best things I played on PlayStation. They absolutely did. They got me interested in playing more franchises like Final Fantasy or God of War or Grand Theft Auto or even like Sly Cooper, which I've already dabbled with those games before, but Yakuza got me really more into like wanting to experience more of PlayStation as a brand in general, and to see Yakuza have a little bit of respect in like a cameo and Astrobot made my heart just go, oh, thank you for doing that, Sony. Thank you for doing that, Astrobot developers. I forgot who made the game, but just seeing Kiryu in it was just, oh my god, that was so beautiful. It was perfect, because that's what was missing in Astro's Playroom. That should have been in Astro's Playroom. And for the fact they put it in Astrobot was just great. Thank you, seriously, thank you for doing that. But anyways, guys, that's kind of it. Also check out this game, because it's fucking badass. You should absolutely play Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. This has nothing to do with Yakuza, but it's made by the same team, RGG Studios. What do you got? How come I cannot speak today, can I? Ryuga Gotaku. Yes, Ryuga Gotaku. They did make this game. So, and they even said it's the same timeline, which I'm like, oh, I think they're just saying that for fun. But it could be. Because, okay, if Ryuga Gotaku can say this franchise has nothing to do with the Yakuza series originally, Face of the North Star isn't the same damn timeline as the Yakuza or like our Dragon games, then I have every right to say that this game is a prequel game that takes place centuries before that is in the same damn timeline. So there you go. With that being said, you know they haven't officially said anything. So guys, that's kind of it. This game is really fun too. Do not start with these two, but also kind of do. At least play them. It doesn't mean I'm not saying that you should absolutely play every single game in the franchise because they're all really good and amazing. But start with either Yakuza 1, 0, or 7, or maybe even Yakuza 3. But don't finish certain ones before the others, if that makes sense. So, alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video of where to start. It's been a long time since I made this series. I'm gonna go back now and play more of Yakuza 5. I'm currently playing as Shinada, who is the last protagonist to play as in the game. I like all of them. I really like every protagonist. I'm currently watching a video about Yakuza, which got me inspired to talk about this video a little bit. His name is Chewy Dog 1, and the video is called "The Yakuza Series Will Ruin Your Life." I will probably put like a card here, or an annotation, or a description in the link in the description. Whatever the fuck, I highly recommend it. It's a 4-hour video. Yikes! But he talks about every single Yakuza game. Yes, of course, there's spoilers involved in it. It's a great listener watch. I highly recommend it. I don't watch the videos like that all at once, obviously. That's sensible. It's okay to listen to it in the background. It's okay to listen to it like it's like a podcast, which is what I do. So, but yeah, I highly recommend that video. Alright guys, that's it. Peace out. Thanks again for watching. Have a great morning, afternoon, day, evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Bye guys. Please go play these games. They're beautiful. And Ichiban, you're gonna fucking love him. He is your soul brother. I'm telling you, he's your soul brother. This man right here, he is your soul brother. You're going to love him. You're gonna be like, you're the best guy I've ever gotten to know. He's number one. That his name literally means number one because he is number one, and you're gonna know he is. And I love Ichiban. I love him. I love him. If you like Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. If you like, same as that voice actor too. If you if you like Luffy, if you liked Ace from One Piece, I guess. If you like Midoriya, young Midoriya, or Deku from My Hero Academia. I don't know why he just gives you the similar vibe. If you like Peter Parker or Spider-Man, if you like, if you just like boys or characters that just do the right thing under no circumstance, and who doesn't take shit from anybody, you'll like Ichiban. He's such a fucking badass. He is. Alright, everybody. Thank you again for watching this video. Have a good take care. Peace out. I love talking about Yakuza. It's a loving franchise. I've only beaten 0, Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2, 3 remastered, and 4 remastered so far. That's it. But I have played a little bit of all these games I talked about. I have dabbled in every single one of them. I have at least experienced it once. Except for maybe Lost Judgment. I don't think I played that one yet. But I haven't played all these games. And I'm currently near the end of Yakuza 5. I have been wanting to play Yakuza 6 for years. Ever since it came out. Because it really looked incredible. I don't give a shit what anybody else says about that game. I want to play it for me. It looks awesome as hell. That's also a game I already said I don't by Yakuza 6. Another big reason why I highly recommend not playing this one first is because Kiryu, you can tell by the front cover, Kiryu's a fucking grandpa in this game. Haruka has a baby. That's her, all grown up, and that's her daughter. Her son. That's her son. He's basically a grandpa in this game. It's like starting with Dragon Ball GT. Like, no, like that's way later on. Like, you want to start from the beginning. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye. Have a good one. Rant over. But I seriously, I do appreciate it. And I don't know. I'm gonna do more of these for sure. Maybe. I'm not sure what to talk about next. Maybe Shenmue, but that would be a very long episode, I would think. So, all right, guys. Take care. Peace out. Have a good one. Bye bye. Thanks again for watching.